Hello students, this is my last video on the poem Inchcape Rock. I will start with the 13th stanza. On the deck, the rover takes his stand. So dark it is they see no land. Quoth Sir Ralph, it will be lighter soon, for there is the dawn of the rising moon. Sir Rover stood on deck. He could not see land. Sir Ralph said, soon there will be light when the moon arrives. Here also, archaic word is quoth. Now let me start with the 14th stanza. Canst hear, said one, the breakers roar, for methinks we should be near the shore. Now, where we are, I cannot tell, but I wish we could hear the Inchcape bell. Now, the word canst is once again archaic. It means cannot. Another word is methinks. Methinks is also archaic. It means I think. Now, let me explain the meaning of this stanza. A sailor said he cannot hear the sound of waves. The sailor thought maybe they are near the shore. He further said they are not aware where they are. He wished he could hear the Inchcape bell. They hear no sound. The swell is strong. Though the wind hath fallen, they drift along till the vessel strikes with a shivering shock. Oh Christ, it is the Inchcape Rock. They did not hear any sound. Students, I am explaining the meaning. They did not hear any sound. The waves were very strong. The wind had become weak and they were moving very slowly. Suddenly the vessel hit something solid and it sent a shivering shock to the vessel. Everyone in the ship just shook. They uttered in dismay that it was the Inchcape Rock against which the ship had struck. Sir Ralph, the rover, tore his hair. He cursed himself in his despair. The waves rush in on every side. The ship is sinking beneath the tide. The meaning of the 16th stanza is, Sir Ralph tore his hair. He cursed himself for his own deeds. The water came inside the ship from all sides and the ship started sinking. But even in his dying fear, one dreadful sound could the rover hear. A sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. Now, suddenly the ship started sinking. It was going down. Sir Ralph heard the dreadful sound like that of the Inchcape bell. But here It was the sound of his funeral bell, which is also known as death knell. Funeral bell for Sir Ralph, and Saturn was waiting to receive him in heaven. It reminded him of his misdeeds which he had done. Nature forgives none, it takes revenge always from wrongdoers. So that was the meaning of the 17th stanza. Now, ballads are sung by musicians, so the first line rhymes with the second, the third rhymes with the fourth in this poem and in each stanza. So every stanza will have a different rhyme scheme. Let me explain the rest of the figures of speech. Now students, I have explained the figures of speech stanza wise. In stanza 1, no stir is repetition. In the air and in the sea, air and sea, they are antithesis. As is there, so it is an example of simile. The inanimate ship is referred to as lady, so it is personification. Stanza 2, I have explained. So little they rose, so little they fell. It is an example of antithesis. Stanza 5, here sun is given human quality, so it is personification. In stanza 10, gurgling sound is an example of onomatopoeia. Here the sound of word gurgling is similar to the noise it creates. Then alliteration. The sound S in stanza 4 has been repeated. Sound of R has been repeated in stanza 6. And sound of S has been repeated in stanza 15. Stanza 17, we have an example of metaphor. A sound as if with the Inchcape bell, the devil below was ringing his knell. When Sir Ralph sinks in the sea, he hears the sound of bell. He feels the devil is ringing the death knell which is rung during funeral. The Inchcape bell is indirectly compared to death knell. So rhyme scheme once again. Ballads are sung by musicians. So the first line rhymes with the second. The third rhymes with the fourth. What is the message of the poem? Those who do wrong things or crime will definitely get punishment in the long run. It has rightly been said, as you sow, so shall you reap. I have also written the second message, the third message. Basically, you can write anyone. They all are one and same. I am reading the second one. We can also say whether you give to whatever you give to others, you always get in return. Virtue is always rewarded and vice is punished. The moral of the poem can also be said as he who digs a pit for others falls into it. And this is the last one. Archaic words. I have written blessed, fourth stanza, joins, fifth stanza, spec, sixth stanza, quoth in the eighth stanza, canst in the 14th stanza, methink in the 14th stanza, hath in the 15th stanza, and the meaning of these words also I have given. Thank you, students.